Hello and welcome to AutoSave. My name is Camille Hadaway, and I'm here with Mr. Nick Andrade, my co-host. Hello, Nick.
Wow, Cam, you have such sultry tones today. It's very smooth.
I know.
Look at that.
It's going to be a smooth episode with a lost voice, but we're here. We're doing it because we are continuing our adventure through the 2020 critically acclaimed Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Last time on AutoSave.
Everyone! These have been hard years. We've lost comrades, friends, family to the Empire. Dark times. And yet the fire still burns. Hope still burns. The Jedi are not yet lost. We are not yet lost. Kashyyyk is not yet lost. For the cause!
So we snuck our way onto Kashyyyk, rode a walker or a AT, still debatable, and met up with a group of resistant fighters and Wookiees that were being enslaved by the Empire. We got another Star Wars cinematic cameo, as you heard there. Mr. Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera from Rogue One. And after battling out with a few purged troopers and ATSTs, we helped free the captured Wookiees and also scared off the Empire from Kashyyyk for now. Although I feel like the Empire will just be back and destroy them, but whatever. With all that done, we still weren't a step closer in our mission and have not met with Tarful, which I feel like that whole last chapter, I completely forgot that was the mission. But it looks like the Wookiees, they really admired us for our help with our whole enslavement issue. Really horrible, by the way. And they're going to connect us to Tarful, but not yet. Today, we're going back to Zeffo for Chapter 3, Zeffo and the Tomb of Mictrol. This is going to be the first planet, I guess, that we revisit officially, for the storyline. You can technically choose any planet to go back to, but this is the story is sending us back here. And it seems like we didn't really explore much last time. So for you, Nick,
yes.
Question of the day. Do you think it's a cop-out for games to send players back to previously explored areas? Because it seems like there's going to be a lot of that for Fallen Order. Or do you think it could really add more depth? What has your experience been with this and games that have been successful at doing this?
I think we talked about this a little bit in our God of War walkthrough. That game also went to similar places multiple times. In this game, it's the same thing. And the way that you can kind of cheat it and make it feel new and fresh is what they do in this game. It's what they do in God of War, which is there are certain areas that you can't unlock yet. And then there are also force powers that you don't have yet. So you can't do certain things. So that is how it entices me, at least, to go back to the same planet, because I didn't, let's say, have one sort of force move, and now I can go back and I can unlock a different area. So as long as you can unlock different areas, I think that's fine. It walks a line when you have to go back to the same place and do the exact same things, which this game kind of tiptoes a little bit too, because a lot of the enemies you have to fight over again, and the Mantis also drops you in the same place as you did in the first part. It doesn't drop you somewhere else, so you have to go through it. So it's a little hit and miss, but I still think it does enough for me, at least.
Yeah, it's kind of when is it not good, I guess? Or I think it's okay to have maybe one place that you go back to. So where the world tree was in God of War, we went back there quite a bit, right? But then I think, and we all know I love this game, Skyward Sword was another game that we've played together that also does this. I thought for the most part it was done well, but you also go back to the same point in a lot of those levels, and then you have to kind of diverge off the path to find where you go to next. And I think because of that, the excitement sometimes just drops when you land on that next area that you're supposed to explore, because you're like, oh, I've been here, done this. What's next? What's next? Yes, having different abilities to access those unexplored areas does help. But I do think it could be used as a cop-out, especially when you have like 4 places, or it may be 4 or I think it's 4 for Jedi.
Dathomir, Zeffo, Kashyyyk, Bogano.
Yeah.
And I think that's
it's
it.
4.
Yeah. It's 4.
I feel like that may be a little bit too much. 4 places that we're revisiting. And it is a shorter game. I don't know.
Yes.
So I'm kind of concerned here. I don't know how the game will go about keeping it interesting for me. I have a very short attention span. So we'll have to see.
I mean, Skyward Sword did the same thing, but there was always a new area, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could drop to different zones, right? It let you with the statues go to different spots. I think that's
But you
why
were a little frustrated in Skyward Sword because you're like, oh, we're going back here and we're going back there and we're going back here and we're going back there.
But now I'm noticing it's a trend in the games that we play, so I gotta be I gotta be happier about it. But yeah, it's just little small details that dev teams can maybe do a little differently when they have to travel to new places, which is Mantis should just land somewhere else. And the whole feature, I don't like how this game out. Every time you have to heal, you have to reset. And then all the enemies, because now we're at a point where we have to walk through these areas and these enemies are now way below our skill level.
Yeah.
So we can kill them relatively easily, but it's just in our way now. You know what I mean? And that's one thing where it's like you could have changed.
So it's kind of an annoyance.
Yes, or there's a shortcut maybe that travels you somewhere quicker, which I know they do have, which is good, but you still have to go through a little bit of area. So just a little fine-tuning, I think, could go a long way.
All right, well, we're going to see if they fine-tune it throughout our revisit to Zeffo right after this break.
Back to Zeffo, huh?
The Empire might have found a Zeffo tomb. We can't waste any time.
Well, pity. Heard about a high-stakes game from one of Saw's fighters. A few extra credits couldn't hurt, you know?
Gambling? Greez, use your head. One of these days, the Haxian brood is going to catch up with you.
Ha! Those slubs? I'll hear them coming from a parsec away.
I don't need your gambling habit causing us more trouble with murderous criminal syndicates.
You're right, I know it. I just want to blow off some stress every once in a while, you know? Anyway, all of that is in the past. I'm sure it won't be a problem.
So like Nick mentioned, we kind of land back right where we left off with that ATST destroyed. I mean, who would destroy an ATST and just leave it there? Not I.
If there were Jawas there, they would definitely try to, get scrap parts out of it. But
oh yeah, they like look at us as we land and they're like, what are you doing? This is ours, kind of thing. They'll fight us.
Yeah. The Empire kind of killed all the Zeffo people, so there's nothing left to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing left. It's kind of sad. All right, well, off to brighter things and interesting things. While we're traveling, we actually hear that Greez may have a gambling problem. Yeah. And it may just come back to bite him. I think this is a tease to something that may happen later on in the game, just because I found this really funny that I wouldn't expect him to have a gambling problem.
I hope so, because we haven't learned too much about Greez in general, just bits and pieces here and there. But he definitely seems like a scummy, like one of those guys that would hang out in a bar on Tatooine, or like Maz Kanata's bar thing in Force Awakens. Like it seems like he's a schemer. He'll gamble, and he'll gamble all his money away.
Yeah, and I just picture him. He's just drinking in the bar. But anyways, Sierra is also worried that the Empire might have found the Zeffo tomb because she's hearing communications. So we have to try to beat them to the tomb to learn more about the vault. And luckily for us, we have explored most of Zeffo. So we're going to head back to the crash site. And this is the area we didn't explore, or you might have explored and then got stuck like I did, because I did. And we head through some of the ice caves that are there. and you'll see large gears that you'll have to force slow in order to jump across, which is a very common mechanic in the game. You also have to go up a little lift there and then head to that crash site area where you'll see a huge ring, which is like, it's a ring, but it's really just like the exhaust of the ship that crashed. So if you look to that and then keep moving forwards, you're going to be in a new area. And as you go through, we'll see some communications from a trooper and a holocron. I guess is it a holocron? Or the hologram thing.
Hologram. Yeah, it was like a hologram.
Yeah, hologram. And it just explains what happened to the ship that crashed here. They were in a fight, but the trooper didn't want to. Obviously, the vessel took a lot of damage, and the trooper didn't want to abandon ship and is still for the cause. So, you get that little tidbit there of what's going on with the ship. As you continue through, you kind of make your ways down a few halls, corridors. You're going to encounter a lot of Skunkus and Jotaz. Both are horrible. They're like, because it is an annoyance though.
Yes.
The Jotaz are tough. The Skunkus are just annoying because if you missed it, they just explode.
And like if you touch them, they like bounce you somewhere. That's just, I don't know. I hate enemies that like have like remnants after you kill them. Like these ones, like poisonous sap or whatever explodes. It's the worst.
Yeah, poisonous sap. I don't know why. Now I don't like the word sap, just because how you said it.
Did you see there was like a secret trooper hologram thing, or is it the same one? Isn't there one where like he talks about Order 66 or something? I explored this area so much.
What?
Because
I think that's a different one.
Okay, there was like it's like a red room, and it's like light red. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Is that the same one?
Box to turn the power on.
Yeah, is it the same one?
I guess it's the same. I didn't really realize. Did he say Order 66?
I think he mentioned it, but now I don't remember.
Okay.
So we're just horrible hosts.
It may have or may have not happened, according to Nick.
Oh, God.
But as you continue through, it's going to get muddy and slippery because you're going to be outside. There's going to be more Jotas around. I'm trying to attack you. They're really annoying and tough.
Yeah.
And you're going to find peeping pro droids, I like to call them, that will be watching you as you climb up different areas of the crash site. But if you deflect their beams with your lightsaber, you're good. It's not that challenging.
I think we're getting close. I noticed it earlier, this feeling in the pit of my stomach. At first I thought it was Greez's cooking. Now it's getting even stronger. I think the closer we are, the worse I feel. It can't mean anything good.
Poor Greez. He cooks. He has good conversations. He opens up about his potential gambling debt. It's horrible. Treat him like this. Is his cooking that bad? I wonder.
Well, he's got a lot of hair, on the side of his head, not on top. But he looks like, again, a gabagool Italian man. Like he looks like have you ever seen the guy, the meme who says a gabagool? Like he's wearing the exact same tracksuit. So search it up.
Yeah.
But it seems like he would have a hairy chest, and it also seems like while he was cooking, he would. There's I don't know if you ever watched Malcolm in the Middle. Bryan Cranston's character. He's making pancakes for the kids, and then he's always scratching his back hair, and then so there's massive amounts of hair in the pancakes. That's how I feel Greez's cooking would be. He'd be scratching his chest hair with the spatula, and then cooking, and then there'd be massive amounts of Greez hair all over the food. That's how I feel like he would cook. Like it would taste good, but you better be careful because there might be some ingredients you don't like.
The texture, you may cough up a fur ball. I didn't think the hair thing, but that's a good point. He's very hairy. I was thinking more like he'll sweat a lot.
Ooh, yeah.
And then if you're watching him cook, you may see like a drop of sweat just like go into the food.
Right.
And that may ward off your appetite.
Do you think they drink blue milk?
Oh, yeah. Now like that I put Greez and like blue milk together, I'm just thinking you'd just be drinking a lot of sweat. But we hear that Cal is talking about having this feeling, getting closer to the tomb that he doesn't necessarily like, which is interesting because he didn't have the same sentiment when we went to the tomb of Elram.
Yeah.
Like he was just more like talking about how he feels like something up ahead. Like he was more curious about it, but this is making me feel like there's danger up ahead. It's just about to go down because he's telling us it's just about to go down.
I feel it, but also, and this is the story I teased you right before we recorded this episode, but this is where I finally figured out the last time I played this game in 2018, when it first came out, I was stuck on Zeffo forever. I entered the ice caves for 20 years. I didn't know where to go. I went to Dathomir. I went to all these planets all over the place. And I finally found out what my mistake was. You know where you have to swim and everything in Zeffo, right? Then you have to climb this like gate area. That is what I couldn't find the first time I played it. So I ended this. I am now at a new point in this game where I have never played it. So I had played up to this point. I spent maybe like 3-4 hours trying to figure out how to get up this crate, which I didn't even realize was so easy to do. And I finally did it, and it felt so good. And this is where I finally started to really enjoy the game, because now I was like free from my burden of why the hell I got lost, and also pretty sad because it was something super easy.
Something super easy. This is now a whole new territory for Mr. Nick Andrade. So you had no issues revisiting this?
No. And then I'm like, wow. I was like, how? How could I not figure this out? But it's because, and I realize now, I did not utilize the map as much as I have in this playthrough. I understand how the map works. I understand the tiered levels now. Before, I kind of just wasn't paying attention. And now I really have got a grasp of how to move around, secret areas, all that stuff.
Well, now that Nick has that grasp on the new area, you're going to actually find yourself in the Imperial excavation area to zip line, and you could actually overcharge the zip line and call it down. Now, when you use it, you'll find a workbench, and you could upgrade BD1 to climb up zip lines, which is really fun mechanic that Nick now knows how to use. And you could continue through with BD1's new tech of zip lining and, you know, being adventurous to get through this area, and you'll face a purge trooper, and a door will be there as well once you defeat the purge trooper, and you could overcharge that to continue through. And then you'll hardcore parkour through a little bit until
Cal Kestis. How predictable. Oh yes, I know your name, your past, and most importantly, about Cordova. Tell me, where did he hide the holocron? Outstanding.
Wait a minute. The second sister unpleasantly surprises us here. And apparently she knows everything. Like, what? She knows our name. She knows about Cordova, so she knows our mission. She knows about the holocron, which means she knows about the Force-sensitive kids. I don't know how that's possible. I'm like,
Right.
How? I thought we were very careful.
The only thing I can think of is that we led her everywhere that we've been going. One, that Cal has some sort of tracer on him, or the Mantis has some sort of tracer on them, because again, they did collide in the first mission. They did fight each other, and then the Mantis was around when the second sister was there. So maybe she's been kind of retracing Cal's steps in some sort of way, and is kind of figuring out all this information. I'm not entirely sure how, because Cordova like set up all of this for one specific Jedi to be able to unlock certain things. And of course, BD1 gives Cal all the information from Cordova. So BD1 holds all this information. So how, in fact, does the second sister know is confusing.
She needed not even just a tracker, like a listening device.
Yes.
As well, to know everything. And there's only 3, technically 4 with BD1 that would know everything we've talked about. So I'm starting to point fingers.
Or she just can sense Cal and his force and is like reading his mind. That's possible.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true. Like when she uses her force powers, she just gets like a autobiography kind of thing.
Yes. I think that's possible. I think that's a force. Like, you can like read people's thoughts, right? Like Kylo Ren did it with Rey.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
think that's possible.
So maybe that's what it is, which means she's pretty popular. Were you surprised to see her here? Or you thought it was due time?
Yeah, it was due time. We haven't seen them for a while, it feels like. Didn't see them on Kashyyyk. I haven't seen them since the first mission. So we've kind of been going on our own trail. So I was waiting for this moment. And when it happened, I wasn't surprised at all.
Well, Nick was waiting for this moment, especially because it triggers a mini boss fight. And we know how much Nick loves boss fights. We're going against the second sister. She is very quick and really annoying because she talks a lot throughout the battle. Like, I was just like, okay, be quiet. Like, you need to stop. You're doing too much. But, when you go through, you're actually going to find that you can't beat her. So you're kind of set up to fail here. And instead, you get knocked to the ground. And then BD1 comes to your rescue and puts up a barrier between you and the second sister.
You're learning. Not quite as gifted as Seer's last apprentice, but not bad.
You've been keeping count.
I'm surprised she didn't tell you. Seer was never good at keeping secrets.
And you know her so well, huh?
She was weak. Cracked in an Imperial torture chair. Surrendered the location of her naive Padawan. They would never have found me. If it wasn't for her, she betrayed me.
You were Trilla.
In the flesh.
Okay, so we learned quite a bit. The second sister is Trilla, Seer's Padawan. And Seer knows this. It's not even like Seer does not know this. Seer knows this. And this is the thing that she's been hiding from us. This is why we've been getting vibes of like, something doesn't add up. We also find out that Trilla is claiming that Seer didn't turn herself off to the Force, but instead used the dark side. And she implies that Seer is trying to get the list of Force-sensitive kids to use for her disposal, which we kind of were a little bit in tune that she had her own intentions with Cordova's plan. And, Trilla also puts some disrespect by saying Jaro Tapal's name, which you don't say his name. You take Jaro Tapal's name out of your mouth, okay?
Wow. That sounded exactly like Will Smith.
That was the point.
You were right, though. You know what? You haven't trusted Seer to this point. I didn't really either, but I think you were more adamant on it. She seems kind of shady. And again, like from the beginning, pops out of nowhere, is like, hey, Cal, I need your help. Oh, and then remember, doesn't even tell Cal about Cordova's list or Cordova at all. Lets Cal figure it out himself, right? So he could do the dirty work. And then is like, hey, by the way, I'm not going to tell you that the second sister that's coming after you is actually my Padawan, which she knows. So that is just bad all around. Now,
and let me just add there before you continue. And also, I had someone else that I was training before you. Like, that is not my Padawan.
Oh, yeah.
Because Trilla does say, oh, you learn more than the previous one. Right? Like, so right? Am I wrong with that?
Is she talking about herself or is she talking about...
I didn't get that she was talking about herself.
Interesting. Oh, that's a note that we can have, yeah.
Because then she would be putting herself down, and that is not Trilla's vibe.
I didn't catch that, so that it's possible. Let's keep that in the data bank that maybe there is a second Padawan around,
or like someone that she had go on this mission with her before.
Yes. Okay. So Seer, we're in agreement that she's just all around a bad person. Not necessarily, like, again, you have to take what Trill is saying with a grain of salt because, again, she is on the dark side. She will try to manipulate Cal, so she'll probably overreach what the actual truth is. However, Seer left Trilla to the dark side and gave up on her. And on top of that, used the dark side. So Seer... the reason why she closed herself off from the Force is because she used the dark side. What exactly did she do? I don't know. And how did Trilla turn to the dark side? Was it a direct response from Seer? Is that the reason why? Or was Trilla already turning to the dark side and is not mentioning that part? Again, we still have to be skeptical, but Seer, like if I was Cal, I'd be furious with Seer.
Yeah, I'd be super upset with Seer because it doesn't seem like... Also, the performance for Trilla, really well done. Like, Trilla actually seems very menacing,
Yes.
which we've seen in The Mandalorian, how some of these, and also with the Inquisitors and Obi-Wan, how they can be very, very scary. But I will say, like, Trilla's actually a performance. I don't know if she is based off an actor. I didn't look it up, but her performance is actually one that really stands out for me in this game. I really like her as a character.
I agree. What I was going to ask you is, are you surprised that Trilla looks normal and doesn't look like scaly or burnt or broken, or their face is being
like
manipulated
the
by the
cliche.
dark side, the cliche?
Yeah.
She's kind of like, she has, I think, different color eyes now, but apart from that, she looks totally normal.
Yeah, I actually like that they did that. Sometimes, like you said, the cliche in Star Wars is if someone's using the dark side, they're disfigured in some sort of sense to show that they have turned to the dark side. And she doesn't have that. I don't know if her eyes, her eyes are very light colored. So I don't know if something's going on there, but I guess we'll find out. One thing that she does that's really cool is when she's leaving, she does this cool like force grab for her helmet. I don't know, I just thought that was badass. Like her helmet just like whooshes into her hand and then she puts it off. But it's weird that she leaves after saying all of that, which maybe shows that she's really trying to manipulate us.
Oh yeah, she's she didn't try to like break down the barrier at all. She's just like, I'm gonna plant this in your head. I'm going to let you, have some time to kind of marinate and think about it, and then I'll come back. That's my guess anyway.
Yeah. And at least for now, that's enough of Trilla. And we're going to continue to move closer to the tomb because just coincidentally, it seems like we're closer to the tomb being on the other side of the barrier. So if you continue through, it's really hard to miss this path towards the tomb because it's pretty linear.
I found it, but Seer, why didn't you tell me?
Because she's a liar.
You. How?
I rerouted communication the moment you tried to contact her. Slicing encrypted transmissions was always a pastime of hers. She taught me once. There's no technique Sarah has that I haven't perfected.
So, looks like we can't get rid of Trilla that fast because she hacked our comms, which may also be how she's learned so much. If she's able to hack our comms, we've been communicating like with the Wookiees, trying to find Tarfal. Like maybe this is how she knows so much.
Yeah, and I'm surprised too. We don't get to hear Seer right away, so we don't know her side of the story. So again, that's even better for Trilla because now she's implanting even more doubt with Cal. Because now we can't get the other side of the story yet. So it's just going to like brood in him even more.
Yes, definitely brood in me, quite frankly, because I was like, what do you mean we don't hear from Seer? Like, what's going on? Like, I really wanted to know. I don't know if you experienced that too. What was Seer's reasoning for this? Like, I was really curious to continue the story and learn more.
This point, because again, like you always get not upset, but like you don't trust a lot of characters. I don't think I trust a lot of characters either. But when you are proven right, how does that make you feel about Seer right now?
I don't trust her at all. Those are two pretty big things. And like it's not like an omission.
Yeah.
Like we know who the second sister is. The second sister tried to kill us. Okay. So she had an opportunity to tell us, right? Then also she literally said she turned herself off from the Force. That's not the same as using the dark side. So she had the opportunity to tell the truth.
What I don't like about her is that she is manipulating Cal because she is telling him only what he needs to hear in terms of what he needs to get done for her and for the Force sensitive children and for Cordova and all that stuff. So to me, it's like, well, what level of like, it's just, I don't want to do that for you if you're just going to, use me.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
At this point, Cal needs to decide like if he wants to do this on his own or if he wants to continue with Seer. Because again, I would love to help out the Jedi Order, but I don't want to do it while helping Seer as well because she just lied to us.
Yeah. If I was Cal, I'd be looking for the first ship off Zeffo.
The first ship.
Yeah, I just
get me a ticket out of here.
Yeah, I need a ticket out of here. So we are now closer, well, actually at the tomb of McTrill, which means that tomb guardians are back in the first one that you encounter. You will not be able to push out the core like we've done at Elfarum. So you're going to have to kind of chip away at this one, which is really annoying. And they're still difficult. So hang in there, champ. As you go through the tomb. Yeah, well, what else am I going to say? I have issues with the Guardians because they are difficult. I don't know what to say.
This sucks, everyone. Do whatever. I don't care. Hang in there, champ. You can, that's funny.
Hang in there, champ.
But yeah, the Guardians are annoying. You're right.
They are. Now, stick with us because it gets a little complicated as we're talking through this. As you go through the tomb, you'll find weak walls and you'll have to push through them to discover a bunch of vines with a pedestal. And then you're going to light those. Like there's this magnet that you could launch these little balls that are candles, clear the vines because they burn away. So it's like very much like, why couldn't Cal just use his lightsaber? But that's neither here and there. Like, wouldn't it just burn?
Right. It's so funny trying to explain this. It's like these orb candle things that burn.
Yeah.
Like the lightsaber can cut through certain things, but it can't cut through everything. And there are times where I'm just like, this is wood right in front of me. Why can't I cut this down? Like this should be able to you should be able to. And then again, here it's like leaves that you have to burn. There was a lot of trial and error with this stuff, right? Like there was a lot of new mechanics in this mission where I had to try to figure out myself. I don't know if you figured it out right away or if you needed to look online or anything for any of these things.
I didn't look online, Nick. You know how much I hate that. But I did. I was stuck here a little bit because, side note, you'll find a meditation point. There's going to be a chest there. You're going to continue through vines. There's going to be 2 doors. Obviously, you could only go through one. That's where the chest is. And then you're going to go back to the lower section to activate a pedestal. And then that will pull magnets blocks from the ground. And you're going to use those blocks to push through a door. So it's like, you know, you got to get to here, but you got to do A, B, and C to get to there.
Yes.
And then we're going to fill some traversing with hardcore parkour, which you will do. And you're going to stumble across some stormtroopers. Once you do that, there's going to be another pedestal that you're going to use to push metal walls away to reveal a path. And then this one was a little bit harder to, for me at least, because then when you reach the other side, you're going to have to actually activate the metal walls again to push the walls away. But then you're going to have to sprint on top to be carried away to the next area that you're going to explore.
It's so funny because I know exactly what you're talking about, but if it's someone who has not played this yet, it's and then there's going to be this metal door that you have to push this way and this side way. Yes, but it is confusing like that and there's trial and error as well because some of those you can't run through or not run through, but wall run across.
Yeah,
and then you have to find another way around to get to the other side. It's not so simple. I enjoy that it is it's a process of elimination and then trying to find new areas and stuff like that. It's not cut and dry. You have to use your brain to play these levels.
You do have to use your brain. And, if you're playing at 2:00 in the morning, your brain may not be working that well. So just rest the brain because this one will require a little bit of that extra power. As you continue through that wall running area, you're going to see a bridge, and on the other side there's going to be stormtroopers going up against a guardian. I love seeing these moments where it's you just see the stormtroopers getting trampled by an enemy, but you're going to also have to fight that guardian, so that kind of sucks. And again, you can't push out the core like you used to. You're also going to see another pedestal, and once you activate that pedestal, you're going to continue to another vine area where there's more candles that you're going to have to use to burn them all, and then you'll face against a purge trooper. Now, in this new area, you'll find walls that are slamming together, so make sure that you don't get squished. I did a few times. Every time I get hurt by those, I just picture, old video games where it's like Mario when he gets squashed and he turns into a piece of paper and just falls down like a leaf. It'd be hilarious if they did that.
Except this game, you die potentially and then have to respawn, which takes 5 minutes to load up, and then you respawn at a Jedi circle way further than you started.
And then you have to do it all over again. I think I'm learning what Nick's pet peeve is about this game.
You got it.
So just try to make sure you have good timing just to avoid any of that. Now, after you will find a cave with a meditation point, and there's going to be stormtroopers there and a purge trooper that you will kind of have to battle, but it probably won't go that well because you will fall off, and it will trigger a memory for you to unlock a new skill.
Padawan, where is the Force?
Everywhere. It is within me. It surrounds me.
Just so. It connects you. There will be times when emotion, pain, or exhaustion trick you. You will feel cut off, isolated. This is an illusion. Your lightsaber lies there, out of reach, but you remain connected through the Force. Feel that energy around you and summon your weapon.
Force is within you, around you, connecting you to your weapon.
You must ignore all distraction.
Yes, now we can finally force pull, which this is the ability I was most excited about from the start because it gives me Vader vibes, and I know we are not, on the dark side, but it's still cool. After this, you're going to reach another area, or the main area of the tomb, which is the puzzle. And this really revolves around you force pulling a spindle and kind of releasing the chambers. And then through this puzzle, there are a few factors that you're going to have to navigate. There's a bulb that is trapped within the spindle, vines that are holding the spindle, water that you can't put out. Or you can't use the candles to actually burn the vines because the water is pouring down, which puts out the candles. So you're going to have to find a way around that. Nick, I'm not even going to go into trying to explain this because I started to try to write this out and explain it step by step, and it got really confusing.
It is confusing, and it was confusing playing it as well. It's hard to explain, and I know there's a lot of mumbo jumbo in this episode, but it really is not a slog, but there's just so many different factors, whether it is the candles that, again, like you said, they burn out if there's water, that there's almost, waterfalls on every section that you go to. So you have to maneuver through those, find other ways around other things. There is one of those magnetic balls that is trapped in that glass. I couldn't figure out for the longest time how to knock it down. So you have to work around that, and then you have to find ways to, get those candles onto the other side of the room. You have to use force push to push them over and then pull them back. And then find a way to burn the rope that's attached to the ball in order to get it down. So a lot of trial and error. I got stumped quite a few times, and you kind of just have to work your way through it because there are tips. BD1 does give you some tips, but those tips kind of, I don't really understand what the tips that BD1 is giving me. So I just got to figure it out by myself. And again, if you just think about the force abilities that you have and how you can utilize them to the best of your ability with push and pull and slow, and how that works within this room, you kind of just have to think outside the box.
Yes, think outside the box. Think of physics. Think of the force powers that you have, and then you'll be fine. You'll be able to get through this, and it'll pay off because after getting through this puzzle, you will find a message from Cordova.
My friend, look closely. This is Mixtro at the vault on Bogano. You can see an object in their hand. Based on this imagery, I believe this object allows a force wielder to perceive the mysteries of the vault. This is the key and the guide, the Zeffo Astrium. But who would destroy images of it, and why? It requires more research. However, our next step is clear. Find an Astrium, if any still exist.
And I have no idea what Cordova is talking about. I feel like every time we get these messages from Cordova, I'm like, what's that? I become that meme where it's like a bunch of question marks and you're just like, what? What's going on here?
The Zeffo Astrium, right? Like, I don't know.
Yes.
I've been confused a few times by Cordova's messages.
Yeah. Cordova just knows so much and we know so little. So like sometimes I'm just like, he's talking to like future us, things that we don't have yet. But Cordova is setting us up for another mission to find something else, this time the Astrium. So it looks like we're going to head back to the Mantis. As we go on the elevator, Trilla will taunt us again, saying that we served our purpose. And now she has no use for us. So that's great. You'll find a workbench where you could upgrade BD1 to hack enemy drones. And then you'll also make your way through ice caves. But you'll be ambushed by Dunya Bagonk. And you won't be able to fight them off. And instead pass out from electrocution, which is not a pleasant way to go.
Oh, and to mention like Bagonk or Dunya, the bounty hunter. Is
yes, the bounty hunter.
Yes, who captures you. Yeah.
Oh, I guess I didn't, mention the bounty hunter thing. We were talking about at the beginning. Anyways. So yes, a bounty hunter, but then you go into this little fight scene thinking that you could win. I love how this game just builds up that hope.
Yeah.
But you are set up to fail again in this chapter because you do pass out from electrocution. And that's it for chapter 3. Now, after the break, we'll break down our final thoughts on this chapter and gameplay right here on AutoSave.
Very good, Padawan. You've cleared the way.
What are you talking about?
I needed this tomb raised. And now that I have what I need, you're of no use to me.
Can you reverse what she's done? Thanks. Hope this new encryption keeps her out for good.
Now, we might have got rid of Trilla, at least for now, but then I said that before, so who knows? But we can't get in contact with the Mantis, and there is a lot that we need to talk to Seer about, but it looks like that we're going to have to wait for that to kind of unravel, that conversation to unravel in the next chapter. We learned about Seer's secrets, or maybe they're not secrets, and maybe Trilla was messing with us, but how do you feel about, like we talked about, how I was not trusting of Seer? Do you think I'm too trusting of Trilla by believing all of this?
Yeah, again, she's a dark force user, so she's obviously going to say things that maybe are truthful, but are extending the truth maybe a little bit too much, where they're now becoming a little bit, lies, I guess. But Seer, obviously, she's hiding a lot of stuff from us. So regardless of what Trilla's saying and regardless of what Seer is saying, nobody can really be trusted because the truth has never been really revealed to Cal the way it should. Mm-hmm. So realistically, obviously Trilla's going to say things to, get what she wants, but Seer is also doing the same. So realistically, what's the difference between them, right? They're kind of the same. They're kind of doing the same thing to Cal. So poor Cal in this situation, but Seer should be knowing better, especially if she wants something good to happen. She needs to be trusting the Jedi that she's using.
Now, I talked about how I would take that first ship off this planet, but do you think that there will potentially be a showdown between Cal and Seer? Like, do you think that this confrontation may lead to a bigger conflict between the two? Do you think Cal will flee?
I think it's in all types of, media content. There's always like a roadblock, and I'm sure that they'll get into it, but I'm sure Seer at the end of the day is a good character and will do good. Mm-hmm. My thought so far, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, is that Seer will do something to redeem herself to Cal.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
All right, well, we'll wait for that redemption arc, hopefully. We revisited Zeffo at the start of the episode. I talked about how, revisiting previous areas for Fallen Order, we're going to be revisiting 4 planets in a game that's essentially almost just under 13 hours long. I thought that may be too much, but I was actually pleasantly surprised through these puzzles and through the different mechanics that were here in Zeffo. It really did feel like a different place.
It did. So, our whole, we weren't happy about traveling to the same planets, but it does something different. Where again, I almost felt out of Zeffo, like I wasn't even in the same place.
Yes.
Right? Like you said. So I think there are some critique that we can have about this game, but I think they do a good job of making it fresh, regardless of having to go to the same planets.
I will say what adds to that is BD1's abilities that we keep unlocking. Now BD1 can hack enemies, which I feel is really cool. Do you have a favorite BD1 ability so far?
I have the hacking, especially with the security droids.
Yeah.
The security droids are kind of tough. So once you hack them, they can fight for you, which is really cool. And I abuse that as much as I can whenever I see security droids.
Yeah, I agree. That and the ziplining. I'm a sucker for ziplining.
Yes, ziplining is so fun.
And BD1 just looks so cute.
Oh, I know. It's such a they do so well with droids in general in the Star Wars universe. Yeah. This is just an added BD1.
That's
BD-8.
where all their animation dollars go.
Yes.
In the droids animation.
Well worth it though.
It is very much so well worth it. Now we're entering the realm of bounty hunters. I'm really excited for it. I know, Nick, you are as well. Is there anything else to add before we end this episode and move into the next chapter?
Just quickly, especially on Zeffo, look for your life essences. There are 3 secrets in each time you go to all these planets. Try to look for those because, again, that gives you more force, power, and more HP as well, which is really important in this game. So make sure you find those. There's a couple ones, especially with the candles, that you can do and find a secret area. So try to unlock those. Just look around you. Always look at every crevice in every space and look for the yellow doors on your map because those are to new areas and they can unlock other things as well.
Wise words to end on. Be sure to tune in as we continue our journey through Fallen Order, and you'll get more tidbits from Mr. Nick Andrade. But that's it for us for this episode. We can't wait to explore what the bounty hunters will offer next time on AutoSave. AutoSave is produced and hosted by Nick Andrade and myself, Camille Salazar-Hadaway. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Zeiser. Technical production by Greg Fillion. Executive producer Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now. And if it happens to be Apple Podcasts, kindly leave us a rating and a review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.